Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe out there, washing your hands and taking care of those in need. It is still a difficult time and we've got some more news about English football and how long it's going to be away for. Before we get into all of the stories today in Let's Talk Chelsea, just want to ask you to hit that subscribe button and a notification bell to make sure you never miss an upload. Uploading daily content now about Chelsea Football Club and hoping to get to 5k subs pretty soon, hopefully. So thank you guys for all your continued support and great comments. They really do mean the world to me. But let's get into today's video or podcast. Actually, I've got the podcast now, so you can listen to Let's Talk Chelsea as an audio version, so you can see that link in the description box below. But let's get into it, because English football has been suspended until April 30th. Of course, last week it was suspended till I believe the 3rd of April. But today they've announced it's been extended, that suspension, till April the 30th. Officials from all 20 English top flight clubs spoke over a conference call on Thursday morning to coordinate a strategy for completing the fixture list in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, which has led to the suspension of almost all sport. So there it is. And I think this is what we expected. We expected that the original suspension in a couple of weeks' time for April the 3rd was going to be too soon. So they've extended that, and they've also extended the season. I personally sit in the camp that I believe that 1920 has to be completed. Now, I want to stress that the health and safety of those involved, the fans, and just in general, it's more important right now. Sport and football needs to come far behind society and, all of this pandemic at the moment. I want to make that absolutely clear when I'm making this argument. But I do believe just in the future, 1920 should be completed. I think for a number of reasons. Not only for the competition itself, the legal battles. I think of a team like Brentford who could come up through the playoffs, the teams in the Championship that could still get automatic promotion, the teams that could get relegated, the Champions League, Sheffield United could still get Champions League football. All of these things I think would come into play. And also I just think that for fans and the enjoyment of the sport itself, the fulfillment of the sport and the season of itself, it's like getting to the end of a book and the last 10 pages are gone. They're not there. So I think looking at it that way, I think is a more logical way. But those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think this season will be completed? Or because of this pandemic, it will just be made void eventually? And the intention to continue the season is an illogical one. Let me know in the comments below. But let's move over to some transfer news. And Philippe Coutinho is a player that has been linked heavily to Chelsea this week. Chelsea leading Philippe Coutinho transfer race after making contact with Barcelona. Spanish newspaper AS states that Frank Lampard has already held discussions with Coutinho, who is on a season-long loan at Bayern Munich, regarding a potential return to the Premier League this summer. First thing I thought when I heard of this transfer was, do we need him? He is an extremely talented player. We know that from his time at Liverpool. But he has struggled this season at Bayern Munich. He hasn't got starts regularly. He came off the bench against us in the Champions League, and I think that pretty much shows you the strength and depth that Bayern Munich have. It's different, of course, to us. But I think it's a player to me that I look at the fee, and even for a loan fee, how astronomical it would be even in a loan, about up to 30 million apparently. I personally don't think it's worth it. When I'm thinking about fees and Chelsea investing in different areas and key areas of the squad that need strengthening in the summer, midfield, central midfield is not an area that for me goes top of the list. I look at left back and I look at striker and potentially centre back. Those are the three areas. And centre back is probably maybe a little bit, it's definitely third on that list for me. Left back and striker are the priority, and that's where personally as a fan I want to see most of Chelsea's funds go towards. Frank Lampard, if he wants this player, there's obviously a reason why he wants Coutinho. He's an extremely talented player, don't get me wrong. He has that talent, that flair, that ability from long range to score absolute worldies. But I do concern that, he's moved from Liverpool. He went to Barcelona. He hasn't really fit in there. He's had to now move to Bayern, who he's not getting playing time for there as well. Is this a player, especially with the age as well, that has maybe passed his best? And Chelsea buying this player or getting him on a loan could potentially scupper a move for other players in maybe a wide position as well. I forgot about that. Wide position, right wing, left wing, that could help Chelsea in other areas. And I think potentially it's a move that personally for me, I'm a bit split on. And as well, you need one of those midfielders to leave, maybe a Ross Barkley, other players potentially in that area that could leave. Jorginho's been linked away before. a player would need to leave in that midfield area and to make space for Coutinho pretty much. And I look at the system Chelsea play with Ziyech coming in, potentially another winger coming in. If it's going to be a free in midfield, could Coutinho fit that system? I know he's played it before with Liverpool, but he's sometimes played for Liverpool under Klopp in a more wider area. And I just think potentially that would maybe limit his game personally, and he'd struggle in that area, especially in Chelsea's system. I don't know, I'm a little bit split on this, and I think that there are other players out there that Chelsea should be focusing on that are much more vital and much more necessary towards what Chelsea need to improve. And I think this feels like a bit of a glamour signing to me, potentially a luxury player that Chelsea don't need at the moment. And those are my opinions on Philippe Coutinho. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts because, of course, he is a talented player, has world-class ability within him and can do incredible things on a football pitch. But he has struggled to keep up that form in recent seasons, and I think that's why I'm a little bit doubtful about this signing for me, and why I personally don't think it's essential for Chelsea to sign Philippe Coutinho. Now, moving on to the pandemic, back to it again because we have to talk about it. And Frank Lampard gave an update and some quotes about not only the Chelsea squad, but Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. Callum Hudson-Odoi is continuing to self-isolate in line with government health guidelines. We know that the first team players as well have got their own fitness plans. They've been given an exercise bike, nutritional plan to keep fit. We've seen all of this across social media. We've seen, Reece James, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abraham. Pretty much every player has posted something on social media of them training at home and trying to keep fit. And Frank Lampard gave some quotes to the Chelsea website about the situation. I want to read because I do think they are very relevant and really do strike the right tone in the current situation. I'm happy to say that in Callum's case, he has made great progress and almost feels his usual self, which is obviously the news we all want to hear. I am, of course, aware that not everyone can or will recover from this virus, so I urge all of the football and sporting community to continue to act responsibly and look out for the health of others. I want to make it clear that I am no medical expert when it comes to challenging times such as these, but please do take the time to call older relatives and vulnerable people who might be alone, or offer to drop round shopping if they can't get out. Let's make sure we all take care of each other. Social distancing can leave us feeling isolated, however we can continue to support each other even if that means doing it remotely. Of course, we still don't know when competitive football will restart, but it isn't worth worrying about that too much at the moment. We all miss football, but right now it's about acting responsibly and in the best interest of society. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who found myself in a strange place with no sport this weekend, but ultimately none of that matters when we consider the bigger picture. Frank Lampard is probably the best spoken Chelsea manager I've probably experienced as a fan. He always comes across as a real human being rather than PR speak. It'd be very easy right now to just put out some, PR savvy speech that doesn't really, connect, but those are really his words, and they really do strike the right tone, and they reassure people, I think. And, of course, we know football isn't the most important thing at the moment, but I think it is important for fans to hear from their coach, the head coach. We've seen that with Jurgen Klopp. He put out a good quote recently about this, and I think that Lampard doing similar, I think, helps the situation. And I think it is absolutely important. And how this is going to affect the players, their fitness in the long term, about maybe needing a little pre-season before we restart the football eventually, we don't know. But that isn't the vital thing at the moment. The vital thing at the moment is taking care of not only yourself, your family, your friends, those in need. And I think that Frank Lampard's quotes absolutely strike the right tone and absolutely are what are needed at the moment. So I wanted to read those out. Let me know your opinions on Frank Lampard's quotes, or also the first team players. How do you think it's going to affect their fitness in the long run? Let me know in the comments below. So that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.